This podcast is brought to you by Podspot Events.
Hi everyone and welcome to Able Pod.
I, got bullied all through primary school and all through my early years in high school because I was different. I looked different, I sound different, I acted different. I think I was a bad bitch, but most people think I was just gay and annoying. Nen wasn't overly great in the first couple of days. She definitely came around. As long as you're not hurting anyone and you're happy, that's all that really matters. Yeah, I understand that it might be different to you, but you're so different to me and I'm not nasty. We're here, we're queer, and we're not going anywhere. The Identity Clinic in a nutshell is a psychology clinic with a very special focus on the LGBTQIA+ community. Yes, we've come a long way, but not enough. I don't often walk down the street and have a slur not said to me. We will do everything and anything in our power to have our community celebrated and embraced. We're not superheroes, like I said. We don't have rainbow capes on. I might actually get some printed, actually. Who knows? You'll see me in the next event with a rainbow cape on. But we're probably a step under superheroes. And if you need a therapist, let me know.
Hi everyone and welcome to Able Pod, the podcast channel on behalf of Able Plus. We do disability networking events Australia-wide as well as events in home care Australia-wide. I'm super excited about today. We've got someone that's come into our home and joined us, someone that I've been wanting to get on the channel for a long time. Welcome, Storm Hassett.
Hi. Sorry, I really struggle to take things seriously. So here I am. It's me, Stormy Hassett.
Storm is going to talk to us today about his journey to becoming one of the leaders in the identity space. And I'm super excited to have you, mate. I am very much a layman going through this journey with you, and I'm excited to it. I'm open to hear what you have to say. One of the things that intrigues me is that you seem to be at this very high point and have a voice that's being heard at the moment. How have you got there? How have you arrived at where you are right now?
Good question.
Thank you.
When you find out, let me know. No, I think, look, to be fair, I'll be the first to say it, imposter syndrome is so big for me. So, even though we talk a lot about being at these high points and speaking to a lot of people and engaging a lot around, the discussions that relate to gender and identity. Even though we're talking about that and I'm like, oh, I'm there, like these are the conversations I'm having, they don't really feel real to me. Like, I don't feel like I'm genuinely there. I think it kind of comes back to that imposter space, right? You're like, am I good enough in this space? Am I doing well? And people are saying it, so I'm here for it. I'm like, okay, like run it up. Let's do more of it. But I think with this space, it's tricky. I think there's a lot of political correctness and a lot of lack of education. And I think just coming into the room and having those open discussions, about things that people might never have known about and would probably otherwise not even want to know about, allows people's kind of spectrum in terms of their belief system and their values and their understanding around the gender and identity space, which is inclusive of the LGBTQI community, plus as a massive part of it. So it's I think just for me, being there and being able to provide these individuals and the wider community with more knowledge and understanding about who we are, what we do, and why we aren't going anywhere is so important. And I think that's why we're speaking with so many people and so many organizations and so many events, and effectively why I'm here today.
Yeah, look, when you talk about imposter syndrome, for those people that don't know, it's a feeling of not believing that things are real as they are. You're almost outside of yourself, not sort of understanding it. Is that a fair way to describe it? What is imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome is effectively where an individual, and for me specifically, an individual is in a space or an environment where they've possibly got to that because of the hard work they've achieved, or they've really put in quite the effort to be in that position, but they're still not able to really believe that their success and their worthiness is why they're there. So it's like it really comes back down to like a belief system, right? Of what you believe about yourself and I guess the confidence you have within yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very much like, like I'm here, I'm having this conversation, I'm enjoying it, and I'm able to provide the wider community with an understanding of who we are, what we do, and, you know, what we're all about.
Yeah.
But I still don't really believe that, you know, I'm really up to the job. I mean, I'm 26.
Yep.
You know, actually, that's a lie. I'm 25. I'm 26 in June. So I'm 26 this year. I've effectively been working prior to here, the insurance space, doing a lot of, so like psych assessing.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, a uni and my background in psychology. It's really been, I guess, such a young space for me. You know, I've effectively gone from home. I worked at McDonald's. I worked in, part-time roles, uni, and then a full-time job, and went, fuck this. I hate this. I want to do more. I want to help and support my community in the way that I know I can.
Okay.
So yeah, imposter syndrome is real and living.
You've done a great job of explaining that.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, at 26, you've got a great take on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you are where you're meant to be.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I mean, 25, remember? 26 in June.
For sure.
But I'll take it. I'll take it nonetheless. But
Okay, so we pivot out of McDonald's, out of the insurance game. What leads you to this game? Why are you this voice? Why do this?
You know, I think, look, I'll probably get a little bit vulnerable, I guess. I think to really understand the complex of who I am and what I believe, and the identity clinic and the formation and the founding of our organization probably more so comes from who we are as people and you know, what I kind of have been through in my life to get to this point. So I guess to give you a little bit of a background, I was raised by my grandparents. So my grandparents my nan is Irish. So she's pretty stringent. She's pretty fun at the best of times. I mean, if you wanted to loosen up, you just have to get out the grog. But, you know, growing up with my grandparents was different, right? Because they're a lot older. They're not the age of your generalized parents. When I was 15, my nan was 58, so there's
a big gap.
yeah, definitely. So I guess growing up as an individual that was finding myself in terms of the gender and identity space, it was difficult. There was I remember the first time an ad came on TV, and it was the first time I realized that I like men. It was an ad came on TV, and it was like a Bonds advertisement.
Yeah, sure.
And the guy, I remember, oh my God, it's so cringe. But I was very, very young, and he flew out and he did this, spread his arms and flew out, whatever he did.
Yeah.
And I remember he was wearing underwear, and I was like, oh, damn. And I was a kid, right? Like I was maybe 14, 15 when I first realized. And that realization at such a young age is huge. But it's also the vast majority of our community. And effectively I had to navigate coming out and being who I truly was, and all of those things that come as part of being effectively what we know is a little bit different, a little bit more colourful. Yeah. And that's what I had to do in that time.
Yeah, for sure. And how did that go down with your grandparents? Like, these are the people that have raised you. They've got their, I don't know, loving little child that they're sort of watching flourish, and you're falling in love with a Bonds ad and learning things about yourself. And you go away quietly and you think, oh, okay, so that's who I am. And then what am I going to do about that? And I don't have anyone to talk to about that. And my existing parents are 58 years older than me and grew up in a different time frame. This is quite challenging. It
is. And it's so different to like what right? Like, I think, I was a little bit unlucky in a sense in one way, because I didn't have my parents. And, me and my siblings as children, we experienced a multitude of trauma as children. And that realistically led to us, being effectively fostered by our grandparents. Okay. So on and off all our life, we were kind of with our grandparents, and they were always very safe for us. Always, our home and our haven.
Love safety.
Which is really, really important for kids. And I think, when I did decide to come out to my grandmother.
Yeah. What age are we talking, buddy?
What was that? Sorry.
What age?
Well, look, I actually had a really big breakdown. I was in, I believe, year 10, maybe year 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And I went to my school counsellor. I was experiencing some really severe anxiety. And I was later diagnosed with pure OCD. So it's a little bit different to anxiety. While it is an anxiety disorder, it is different. And for everyone listening, not the cleaning, not the numbers, not the numeral kind of based OCD. Mine was a little bit more intrusive thought based, which is...
You're going to have to tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, look, I think in the grand scheme of things with psychological diagnoses, mine being OCD, it's related to obsessive compulsive thoughts around thoughts that you might have. Yeah, so just normal thoughts that you guys would have, everyone else would have in the world. They're just normal intrusive thoughts, unwanted. However, with me, due to my childhood trauma, I was unable to regulate my emotions and I guess move away from those thoughts. So I would panic about them. I would overthink them, and then I'd panic about them until I was in a full-blown episode. And I remember when that first occurred, I was in a bit of a place for about 3 days. I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't sleeping, nothing.
You shut down.
Yeah, completely. And my grandmother was like, I don't know what's going on. And I went and saw a counsellor at this point, just a counsellor at school. And the counsellor had said to me, I think there's something weighing on your chest and you need to be honest about it. And I thought, oh, okay, well, what do you mean? And I remember word for word, she said to me, you can be who you are here. We're safe. It's okay.
Oh, God.
And
these feel like heavy words
Yeah.
or very important words.
Yeah.
From a school counsellor. Well done, by the way.
Yeah.
This is good.
Shout out to her, I guess. Yeah, slay.
Whoever you are. Yeah. Well done.
I don't remember her name, but she had quite an impact, although I never went to her after that because that's fun. But I did. I returned home and I said to my nan, actually it was the following morning, I was actually in TAFE, so year 10, we're doing electives. I was doing travel.
Yeah.
I remember knocking on the bathroom door and I opened the door a little bit. She was in the shower and I said, Nan. She said, what? I said, oh, I just want to let you know, I think I'm gay. And she said, what? And everything around me just went red. I didn't know what to do. So I put my shoes on and I ran out the door as fast as I could. And I went to TAFE. And for a few nights, actually, I actually stayed with a close friend of mine, my best friend. And I refused to go home. I refused to engage in any conversation because I was just so scared. We're raised as, when you're being raised as children in certain households and you see things on TV or you see things in media, more often than not, mum, dad, nan, pop, they say things, right? And you hear those things and those things have negative impacts.
They do.
On, I guess, the psychological well-being of that individual. And I think I really went into hiding. I was so fearful, and Nan wasn't overly great in the first couple of days, which you could imagine. I think it was very, very new to her.
Yeah.
But she definitely came around swinging. I remember I was bullied by some boys in high school, and I remember her chasing them in the car. They were on their bikes, and she said, "I'll get you." And she was funny.
I kind of love that support for you. By the way. Hang on. You're opening the door.
I know, we're running, aren't we?
Grandma's.
Yeah.
You're
she's
telling
wild.
Gran, I think I'm gay.
Yeah. Yep. Correct.
And then your whole life, you've said it.
Yep.
It's out there.
Yeah.
You go and get your trainers on and you run.
Mm-hmm.
You run from the situation, having just said the biggest thing that's been on your mind since you saw the Bonds ad.
Yep.
And you hide.
Yeah. I remember what shoes they were too. I was spray tanned. I had white sneakers. They were the white high top Converses.
Yeah.
With my long white socks.
Yeah.
And I was the bee's knees. So
this is a good look.
Yeah. I was running. I mean, everyone around me knew, in school and, in the community, everyone knew. They said, oh,
Well, they knew. At least they thought they knew.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think the family was kind of shocked because they were like, we've only ever known you as this person. We've never looked at you as a sexuality or an identity or gender or anything like that. So, I know my nan's best friend said to her, oh, how did you didn't know? She said, no, I've only ever...
How did you not know?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's very common for people who live with you day to day. Like, they don't see it, right? Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of think about it like, when you spray a bit of fragrance on and you really quite like it and you wear it, every day of the year, comes a point where you don't actually smell it anymore, right? Because you're so used to it. You don't know any difference.
This is true.
And I think that's really what I kind of assume took place for my grandparents. They just, thought as me as little old me rather than gay, which in hindsight makes a lot of sense.
You're out.
Yeah.
You're out. You're hiding at a friend's place, but you're out.
Yep.
And you suspect people at school know.
Yeah.
Grandma comes around.
Yep, she does.
Give her a few days
to
process.
Might have been a week.
But then she ends up supporting you by
she did,
driving after the bullies. How nice was it to have support at that time in life?
Look, my grandparents were always my safe zone, ever since I was a very, very young child. So yeah, it was very good. Very, very good to have that. And Nan's always my safe gun, When anything goes wrong, I'm on the phone. Nan, this has happened.
Yeah.
I feel like shit. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Oh, really?
All the time. Yep. Every single day. I talk to her every single day.
At 26, Storm, you have a number of responsibilities, and one of which, and it's not one I'm sure you shoulder without a burden, is to lead this space, this identity space, which needs you to be their voice.
Yeah.
To tell the story to the world, so that people can feel comfortable in their own skin, right?
Yeah.
And at 26, it's not unreasonable to have a confidant who happens to be grandma, who knows the backstory, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I do also have a therapist as well as a mentor, so worthwhile noting, guys,
Good.
We all need that extra support. But yeah, Nen is fabulous. She's really, really great. Very supportive.
We're out. We're functioning.
Yeah. Yep. So I guess, look, we started to progress through high school. I started to feminize a lot more. I was wearing more feminine clothes. I was wanting to get my nails done, have my hair done. I used to wear these braids, which I later realized were probably not very appropriate. So I stopped wearing them.
Okay.
But I always had, quite long hair. I got into makeup quite a lot in terms of the makeup space and doing a lot of that YouTubing kind of jazz, which I enjoyed.
At home or in public as well? Would you go to school with makeup on?
No. It was always at home, which, I guess wasn't... My grandparents didn't feel that it was amazing because it wasn't, something that I'd ever really been exposed to.
Yeah.
I remember my nan said to me one day, oh, the gays that I know, they go to the gym and they're big and buff. And I thought, yeah... Maybe you just don't know pretty ones like me, huh?
Yeah.
But I think there's so many different variations to people. And I think Nen just had, again, to come around, right? But experiencing that femininity and understanding who I was, which I still don't, completely understand who I am. And that's okay because I'm 26.
Yeah, you're young.
And I think, with all the trials and tribulations that you face in life, you start to, I guess, understand a little bit more about who you are and what you want and where you want to go in life.
Still, I'm 52 and still figuring it out.
Yeah. I'm here for it. I am.
I'm twice your age.
And if you need a therapist, let me know.
I love that. I think that would be some interesting conversations.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt it.
Okay. So take us on the journey. We're feminizing. We're putting makeup on at home.
Yeah.
We're still going to school.
Yeah.
How's school going?
So school for me was different. It was very, very different. I mean, in my early years, I was bullied notoriously. It was crazy. It didn't
How
stop.
did you handle that? I fucking hate bullying.
Yeah.
I do not want to bully one of my kids.
Yeah. Look, I think it's tricky. It's really, really tricky because in school it's eat or be eaten, right?
It can be like a prison.
Yeah. And, I progressed through school. And I think when I got to about year 9, year 10, I think it was when I came out, I won't say that people liked me more, but I will say that I was a lot meaner. I was a lot more confident in being who, I was needing to be to protect myself. So very mean.
Hang on. You're talking about a movement towards your authentic self and somehow finding power in that. So you're getting meaner and you're not putting up with all the nonsense.
I think, look, there can be some confusion sometimes around, no longer being bullied and then moving to the side of finding your authentic self. Because, like I said, I got bullied all through primary school and all through my early years in high school because I was different. I looked different, I sound different, I acted different. I think I was a bad bitch. But most people think I was just gay and annoying and all the rest of it. But I think, what I did is in my very early years, I was getting bullied a lot, whether it was physically or verbally. I guess a lot of people hold that for a long time. I don't, because it's really nothing compared to what I've been through in my childhood. I kind of laugh at it.
Really?
Yeah.
Contextually, you're just like, brush it off?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because your references to some formative years, some really hard shit.
Yeah, I think you desensitize over time, right?
Yeah. The stuff that you've desensitized to really knocks most people around, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, no,
they
definitely.
think that's their major wounds in life.
Yeah, no, correct. Exactly that. And, the bullying for me, I look back and I have a cackle at it because I look back and I think about the people that did do that and the horrible things they did say, and I never hold it against any of them. I wish I could be there for them as a support. Because I do understand that, as children, we're brought up specific ways, and whether that's horrible things said in the household, whether it be cultural beliefs or, household beliefs, religious, whatever it might be, we're brought up a specific way and we don't know what we don't know, and you say these things to these kids and your friends laugh and you think, yeah, cool, I'm so cool, I'm so popular. But I think now I just feel sorry for them because I think I wish I could talk to you today and have a conversation about, how I would, you'd likely be very sorry for all the things you said and did because we're adults now.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But look, I definitely won't say that I wasn't there because I was a bully. I got to year 9, year 10 and I got very mean, very, very mean. And, it was channeling a lot of that, that childhood trauma and a lot of that bullying into this superpower that I saw it as. It's like, when I'm walking on the sidewalk, get out of my way because I'm so tough, I'm so cool. And that's sad within itself, because as a child growing, you're more or less brought up into this monster that, has to be mean to get through. And that's what I did. Yeah.
I don't like it though, Storm. I don't like that had to happen to you.
It's all a part of the learn though. It's all a part of the...
Take us on a journey. Where does that go to? There's a mean phase?
Yeah, of course, yeah. No one's... There's days where I remember I was in a club one night and a young lass came up to me and she said to me, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "No." She said, "Oh, you were horrible to me in school." And I said, "I'm so sorry, what's your name?" I didn't even know her name. I had no idea who she was. And that to me was like, that's how much attention you really paid to who you're being mean to. You really had no idea.
That is completely different to the guy that's sitting opposite me. Like, seriously, I feel that you would take the time to get to know somebody's name. You were the bully, Storm.
Yeah.
For a short period at the end, you were the bully.
Yep, yeah. It's sad, isn't it? It's a sad reality. And I think, there is some power to it. There really is. To be able to not only acknowledge where you've come from, but also acknowledge where you got to and where you're going to.
Yeah.
I often, look back, and me and my therapist probably talk about it more than anyone. And, I often say that's probably one of the biggest guilts that I hold of how mean I was to people in school.
Okay.
And anyway, so this girl effectively, came up to me and was like, "Do you remember me? Like, this is my name, whatever." And I was like, "I have no idea who you are. I'm so sorry." And she was like, "Yeah, you were really mean to me in math." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go get a drink. I'm so sorry about that." Like,
wow.
Yeah, so I went and I got her a drink and we spoke about, what she's overcome in her life and the things that she's done. And I now have her on Instagram. Can't remember her name. Still cannot remember her name.
That's
I think it's like Elise or something, but she's a very nice girl.
Yeah.
So if she is listening, I am so sorry. There's a lot of names constantly circulating through my brain, and ADHD doesn't make it any easier. However, she was incredible, such an incredible human. And I think when you take the time away from, caring about who you used to be and focusing on who you are now and who you're going to be makes all the difference. And it's just accountability, really. It is. And it's not as easy, and it's not, easier said than done. I know that. But it's really about being present and understanding that moving forward is the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when you speak, look, you are a representative of identity in its entirety. You are part of a movement that is relatively recent in society and gaining traction. And we are looking for leaders in this space because a lot of people are confused by it. What's your key messaging? How does someone that is twice your age come to terms with this? And how do someone who wants to embrace people where they're at, someone who definitely embraces diversity, be respectful and just make functioning and letting people feel comfortable in their own skin, in their own way, as normal as possible. What have you got for me?
So what you're asking is effectively, what would I say is probably my biggest piece of advice to people of age that wouldn't necessarily understand this?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what you don't know, right? But that's not your fault. That's not anyone's fault. Doesn't know. What is your fault?
But don't we have a responsibility to keep current? Come on.
That's what I'm about to say.
We must evolve. Yeah.
So what I often say to people is, it's not your fault for not knowing.
Yeah.
You can't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
But what is your fault is that you're not taking the active steps to become educated in that space and understand and really try and, have a empathetic approach to our community. We're talking about a community that's been oppressed for generations, right? Generations. A community that, we are still experiencing hate crimes every single day. I know that personally. I don't often walk down the street and have a slur not said to me. Being your authentic self comes with...
At a price.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. Yep. Every single day. And that's what our community continues to face.
That's today. Can you imagine what that would be like 20 years ago?
Well, I do know. Yes.
Streetwalk is just so hard.
And while I wasn't there and I don't physically understand, I can only imagine that it was 1,000 times worse than what it is now. And that's why, the Mardi Gras is so important.
To acknowledge the work that's been done before you.
Yeah, definitely. And to celebrate and embrace the ongoing, diversities of our community constantly. And that's, I guess, my message to the generation that doesn't necessarily understand is, I don't understand you, right? But I have to be nice to you. I have to be empathetic, and I have to care about you because I'm a human.
Okay.
It's a human right to be good to people. And that's it. Being nasty to someone based on how they look, how they sound, how they act, or, not even trying to be good to these people is really a reflection of these people as individuals rather than our community.
Yeah.
And it's not a you against us. It's not, it's a collaborative approach in everything that we do. Our community, talk about, the designer brands, for example, the vast majority of them are owned by gay men. It's the massive parts of the community and always will be. We're here, we're queer, and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for that statement.
Yeah. I think, it's tricky and I get it.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to make uncomplicated by just understanding that these people are people.
Yeah, sure.
Where, whether I have acrylic nails on or a full weave or makeup, I understand that it might be different to you, but you're so different to me and I'm not nasty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah. There's no harm in just trying to be good to people. There's really none. We're not here for long,
We're not.
Yeah, we're really not. Time goes way too fast, You're falling off the face of the earth before you know where you are. One day you're at a party, the next day you don't know because you're gone. And I think just being good to people and celebrating love and, happiness is really all life is about. Moments, time, stop wasting it by being an asshole to people and just be good, be nice. Tell someone with, their acrylics, say, look hot. I love your nails. Your hair, doesn't it look divine? Just because it's different and you wouldn't do it doesn't mean it's not cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. when we go back 20 years,
Yeah.
when you are walking down the street and you're getting slurs today, and
Yeah.
I can only imagine it's very, very easy to not be your authentic self and drive those emotions, those feelings underground.
Sure.
Now, the relationship between driving that underground and mental health. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. Let's talk about it, huh?
Have we got anywhere in this battle that is mental health over identity?
I think the harsh reality is that we are in 2024, and we have made leaps and bounds.
Let's acknowledge that for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. There are some good things happening. Look at Mardi Gras. Look at how Sydney markets itself to the world.
Yeah, to be honest,
Yep.
not enough's happening.
Okay.
To be really frank with you,
Yep.
yes, we've come a long way, in recognition and embracing and celebrating the diversities of our community.
Yeah.
But not enough.
Okay.
And that's realistically across the board, whether it be, I guess racial backgrounds, whether it be religion, whether it be, our community.
Yeah.
We are still very much at the forefront of discrimination. And it's, while, in our country specifically,
Yeah.
we're not being, beheaded per se, trigger warning, beheaded and, murdered and all of these things are still happening everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, God. Okay.
It's very, very common in countries around the world that these practices are taking place. There's only, I don't know the specifics on how many countries have actually legalized being gay, not even gay marriage, but just being able to be homosexual or a part of the community, transgender, whatever it may be, is still nowhere near where it should be. Because at the end of the day, they're just humans, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
So you've put a global perspective on this.
Yeah.
I guess I was talking locally, but globally. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And miles behind.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah, there's still a lot that we have to do. There's still a lot that needs to occur before I think we can say we've done, amazing. We've done good. We have, and I'll acknowledge that. I mean, our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was the first Prime Minister ever to walk in Mardi Gras. Again, kind of embarrassing that it only occurred, I think, last year or the year before. It should have happened long before that. Right? The 20th century. What's going on?
Yeah. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
Yeah.
Are you up for it, mate?
Am I up for it?
Have you got it in you to be this voice?
Yeah.
You are a rising star. We actively seek out people on this podcast channel that we think are going to make change, that are going to influence the space, and that we want to give a voice to.
Well, one thing I will say is that I'm not a superhero.
Yes.
And I always must fill my glass before anyone else's. But one thing I always ensure, and I know speaking on behalf of my team at the clinic, we're all incredible. And like I said, we're here, we're queer, and we're not fucking going anywhere. And our community is the forefront of our mission. And we will do everything and anything in our power to have our community celebrated and embraced in everywhere. We will do as much as we can. And we're not superheroes, like I said. We don't have rainbow capes on. I might actually get some printed, actually. Who knows? You'll see me in the next event with a rainbow cape on. Quote me. But we're probably a step under superheroes. There's human superpowers,
Storm, you've been very gracious in talking about identity as a whole. You are the CEO of a business called the Identity Clinic. And tell us a little bit about that, mate.
The Identity Clinic, in a nutshell, is a psychology clinic with a very special focus on the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah.
We don't work outside of that realm. We work a lot in the space of transgender, gender diverse, and non-conforming. That's our world.
Yep.
And we know what we're good at. It's our bread and butter. Why work outside of that?
And there's probably enough business in that.
Yeah.
And there's enough people that need your help.
Yeah.
And it's a hard journey.
Yeah.
For those that don't have any experience in it. Lived experience, I'd suggest, would be key.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's really what sets us aside from a lot of different organisations, right? Everyone that works within our organisation is queer. The vast majority of us are neurodivergent. We are what I believe a representation of our community. And we're here to provide the most affirming care possible to the queer folk, the neurodivergent folk.
And what does that look like? When will you engage with someone? When will you exit with someone? And I mean, they must go through a lot during that time. They come in confused, and then you try and give them some advice, and then they hopefully go out with a new pathway and a better understanding of who they are.
Well, not everyone comes in confused, right?
Okay.
We have people that come in for a multitude of reasons. You know, you might be experiencing specific symptoms that relate to a condition that might be secondary to what you're going through. You know, what we are is a clinic that's inclusive, that only works the LGBTQIA plus community. Now, that's not saying that we don't work with people that have conditions that might relate to, you know, borderline personality disorder or, you know, whatever it might be, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, whatever it might be. We work with everyone within our community. So the LGBTQIA plus is an umbrella that covers everyone in that community for any mental health condition, concern, illness, questions they might have. So it's a very broad spectrum. We have people that, you know, are just anxious about coming out. We have people that might be on hormones and the HRT is having specific effects on their moods. We have people that are coming to terms with understanding who they are. They might be 50 and they don't know who they are. They're trying to find themselves, but they do identify as part of the community. So I guess the services are unlimited in terms of what we do.
That's a huge scope right there.
Yeah. We also, there's a lot of political correctness around children, right? It's very, very common for people to say, oh, but, you know, are you sure you know what you're doing? As a clinic, what we're here to do is support the individual. So we work from ages of identity crisis, sexuality, or gender concerns. So effectively that world through to when they're no longer concerned.
Okay.
Right? So wherever that arises, whether that's when they're 9, whether they're 43, our main prerogative in this space is to ensure that we're servicing our people in our community. And that means everyone. We often have people say, oh, but, you know, what if they don't have parental consent? Well, that's a really big thing. Obviously, parental consent is very important for us. As any operating organisation, we need to ensure that there is that, you know, consent.
So would you get involved at that level? Would you approach the parents on behalf of a potential client or?
No. So we don't approach anyone in any instance. What we do is we're a service. We provide an affirming care service, and we have, you know, effectively our community approach us. So we're there when you're ready. We're not approaching you telling you that you need help and that we're going to assist. There needs to be consent. That's very important. If their child is, you know, for example, in out-of-home care or, you know, they've got a legal guardian, as long as they have consent from, you know, I guess the authoriser at that point, then we can progress working. But for clarity purposes as well, we don't provide hormone intervention. That's for doctors. Our clinicians work within the scope of psychology. So what we're doing is we're providing affirming care for relief of symptoms and to ensure that there's a sustainable future moving forward for our community and these individuals. What we're not doing is, you know, saying, all right, you need sexual reassignment surgery or you need, you know, hormone replacement therapy. That's all up to the individual. It's their journey.
How far's your reach, mate? This podcast goes around Australia. How far can you help?
So we are one of the only providers that actually market ourselves as a national service provider.
Through telehealth services?
Correct. Our clinic is up and coming in Sydney, which is due to occur in around June. But we'd also like to see ourselves with a clinic in Melbourne in the next 12 months. There's a mass demand in, I guess, the Department of Community Justice space. But yeah, nationwide.
All of these things can be done online.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the benefit of psychology, right? We also know that obviously working in the, you know, an element of the disability space, with people with psychosocial or physical disabilities, more often than not, a lot of them would probably prefer to, you know, consult from the comfort of their own home.
Absolutely. I hadn't thought about that.
And that's, you know, what we like to see is a bit of a trendsetter. We want to ensure the treatment is tailored to the client at the end of the day.
Storm, I think you're quite remarkable. You're a young guy that's gone through a lot and you find yourself at the forefront of a movement. And at 26, you're doing a fantastic job on behalf of everyone. And You're inclusive.
Oh, that's very sweet.
And I think you've helped a lot of us embrace diversity. And I know that's a huge part of your message.
Yeah.
And be human.
Yeah.
Humanity.
Yeah. That's it. You know, like I said, you don't know when you're going to cark it. You really don't. You don't know when it's all over.
Do you want to tell me what you said about your grandma when we were having a drink before?
Yeah. No, of course. She wasn't always so open to it. She really wasn't. She was like, oh, I don't get it. It shouldn't be rubbed in my face and all the rest of it. And she, she was quite vocal about that. And I understand that based on her age and, additional factors. But we did have a conversation about what it really meant to me, identity and gender and sexuality, realistically. And I specifically recall her saying to me, you know what, you're right. You're right. I'll give it to you, you're right. We all come in the same way. And as you are completely aware of how that occurs in most instances. And we all go out the same way. We're all born a specific way and we all die the same way. We go out alone, we come in alone, right? What we do in between that time, as long as you're not hurting anyone and you're happy, that's all that really matters.
She kind of nailed that, mate.
Yeah. She
that's
definitely
a nice
did.
moment.
Yeah, she's remarkable.
And that's also a really nice way to wrap up this chat. Storm, you've been
beautiful.
incredible. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping educate me and everyone that's listening.
Yeah.
Team, that's been Storm Hassett of the Identity Clinic. This has been Able Pod, and we hope you've enjoyed this session. Storm, I've really loved having you. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.